For context, one of my online friends has a sibling that likes to play. They got my contact info. We started messaging. I mentioned I had a 3.5 game going on. They asked if I had an opening. I said that I could fit them in if they wanted to play. So one morning, we have this text exchange. I haven't heard from them since, and my friend just got done telling me they are not going to play.
I'm still interested in joining the game if you still have an opening.
Sure thing. Do you still have all of my other contact info? I just want to make sure that I review everything via email before letting you in. The game is already established, so you'll have to bear with me.
Yes, I believe I do.
So, let's talk about your character concept. What are you thinking?
Check your email. I just sent you my character sheet plus my backstory. Lol.
Okay. Thank you for sending me this, but there are a few things going on here. My setting is not the same as Critical Role. Your backstory is 10 pages long, and relies heavily on lore I'm not using. The party is already level 13, and if you remember when I asked you to play, I said we're playing 3.5, and this is a 5th edition character sheet. If you'd like, we could take your basic concept and work with it. I'll just give you a lore rundown if you're still interested. Biggest things to tweak would be pretty much background and lore, and how it relates to the setting. But the rest of it looks pretty good. Hey, you can even use those stats, and I don't think your alignment will conflict with anybody in the party. And then we can... Oh, there he goes. Look, I'm gonna keep it $1.69 with you, Chief. If somebody is sending me a 10-page backstory, they're not trying to sign up for my game. That player is trying to get me to sign up for theirs. I've played a lot of narrative-driven TTRPGs that rely on cooperation when it comes to world building. But cooperation is not walking up to your DM with a rough draft of a novel that you're writing for AO3 or Wattpad. If you show up with a chonker of a backstory that includes a detailed dissertation on every book your wizard read ever since they were a kid, I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though, or sorry that happened. Anyway, my name is Jacob Crowe, and welcome to the Crow's Perch. We're in between stifling my tears from the conclusion of the last episode of Critical Role, while simultaneously drafting hate comments on alt accounts complaining about how Ashton wasn't allowed to sacrifice himself. We read through RPG horror stories on both Reddit and submit it to me personally by email or on the Crow's Perch Discord. Love to see you there. Anyway, without further ado, let's gather up a murder and dive right into these stories. So, I decided to play Shadowrun 5th edition with a new group. My character was a combat decker with a stolen cyberware and a sweet bike, which was being hunted by the Mafia. I thought it would be a cool hook for some intense roleplay and maybe a few chase scenes. Oh, how wrong I was. From the very first session, the GM made it clear that my character was not going to have any fun. Every time I tried to hack something, he'd say,
"The Matrix noise is too high,"
or
"There are no devices connected to the Matrix here."
It felt like he was deliberately shutting me down, but I tried to roll with it. Then, during our first mission, things went from bad to worse. We successfully completed the objective, only to be ambushed by 40 cyber orcs with assault rifles, and a massive mafia boss with a heavy machine gun, and a monowire halberd. This guy had an initiative of 40, attacked everyone at once, and somehow always spotted my character, no matter how well I hid. Do my chromed out eyes deceive me? Or does the best mage wage in the biz finally have a chance to link a couple razor gals and boys with some pay data about motherfucking Shadowrun? Look, Ome, slot this into your wetware. I'm gonna explain how initiative works to you D&D whiz kids out there, so that when you run into some static with a Mr. J, you know when it's time to buzz off with your nuyen. I realize these last few sentences made zero fucking sense to like 90% of you, but just let me have this. We're skipping the cider and we're going straight to whiskey, baby. Let's dive in. Alright, so basically, you have an initiative modifier, like in D&D. Kind of, which is based on your reaction score and your intuition score. Think of those, they're like ability scores. That makes sense. Are you following so far? Pretty easy. Cool. You roll that with your initiative dice. Makes sense. Instead of a d20 in Shadowrun, it's a d6. Okay, so you have a number. Let's just say it's 7. 7 sounds good, right? No! You wanna know why? Because the street samurai you're fighting rolled a 13, so he goes first. Okay, that kinda sucks. He gets to take a turn before I do, I get hit. I get to hit him back after. That seems like the end, right? No! You're not listening! I can't just keep screaming at you, I'm sorry. You see, what happens after is we decrease everyone's initiative by 10. Oh, where am I going with this? My initiative is -7. What happens now, Crowe? He goes again! And you don't! He gets a second turn, and you get to watch him play the game without you. Oh, and it gets better, by the way. In this example, in the story with the guy who has like 40 initiative, guess what he gets to do while you walk around with your peanuts out like usual? He snips it. He takes 3 more fucking turns. He can just do that, and guess what you get to do? Nothing. You can't do anything. You lose. Good day, sir. So the whole combat system becomes an arm race over who can get more initiative with cyberware. And everyone's trying to scramble to buy wired reflexes so they can take like 10 turns. Oh, and narratively, did you think this would make any sense? No! Guess how long turns are in Shadowrun? 4 seconds. 4 seconds. You can empty an automatic gun, reload it, and shoot it again while sprinting in 4 seconds. 4 seconds. This game sucks, and everyone who plays it is a worse person for it. And if you've played it before, you've been giving a standing ovation this entire time while crying to yourself knowing that you're running a 6E Shadowrun game tomorrow morning. And you're weighing your options between that or having a 1000 degrees Celsius metal ball drop directly onto your spinal cord. God, I don't even remember where we were anymore. Right, we were reading a story. Happy thoughts. Woo! Yeah. It was ridiculous. But we managed to take him down after spending a lot of edge. Just as we thought we might survive, the cops showed up, 15 seconds after the fight started, and arrested us without any chance of escape. Our Johnson bailed us out. Johnson.
What's that? Well, it looks like a giant... Johnson!
But my character's bike was confiscated. Determined to get it back, I decided to steal it from the new owner during downtime. This is where the GM's vendetta became obvious. As soon as I tried to intimidate the new owner and take the bike, a cop with a stun baton appeared instantly. I spent more edge to escape, but then a patrol car showed up. Despite my character having high driving skill, 14 dice, and a sports bike, the cops somehow kept up with me, winning every driving contest. They started shooting, knocked me out, and my character died in a crash. I decided not to burn edge. The GM's explanation? That's just how the world works. Some of the comments point out how the GM said there were no devices plugged into the Matrix. That's like the cyberpunk internet in this game. That's like saying your phone isn't currently listening to your voice and sending data to Amazon to sell you Stanley Cups and JBL speakers to blast Fetty on the way to your next game session. But as for this game master, and by the decree of the Corvid Court, I hereby sentence them to only being allowed to run Shadowrun games for the rest of his wretched life. I realize this may be seen as a cruel and unusual punishment considering the banality of the crime, but I can assure you that I do not make this decision lightly. Next post. This story comes from a campaign I'm actually still part of, and the problem player has since been removed by a new player. The players in this campaign are me, Artificer, Fighter, Warlock, Cleric, and the problem player, Bloodhunter. I swear, it's always a Bloodhunter. You know, people always talk about the Matt Mercer effect, making it so DMs feel pressured to have to run their games like Critical Role, but no one ever mentions how he single-handedly made the most edgy class in the entire damn game. They literally spill their own blood to fuel dark magic, and the pain they feel fuels their powers. Wait, don't look at the fact that I played one on Crispy Tavern's channel. Turn the camera off. Turn it. At the start of the campaign, nothing was really off about the problem player. He did edgy things every now and then, but that's fine, because he is allowed to play as he wishes. However, the problems truly started when his real personality started to show itself. Whenever he would talk to an NPC, he would always demand information from them, and if he didn't get it immediately, he would either threaten them with violence, or just straight up use torture to get what he wanted. This also happened when we captured enemies that we wanted information from. Instead of asking questions and role-playing, he would say something like, "I take my knife and cut open my wrist and bleed my fire blood onto the person." Again, it's fine if someone plays a character like this. the kind of person who uses force to get what they want. But this happened all the time. Every time we needed to interrogate or question someone, he would immediately escalate the situation by using violence or threatening the NPCs. One thing that I had a particular issue with was whenever we interacted with someone who was not a human or human-looking species in-game. He would constantly make weird comments about them, like having a constant hatred of dwarves, to the point to where it stopped feeling like a joke, because every time we interacted with a dwarf, he would say something to the degree of, "We should genocide all dwarves because they suck." Out of all the D&D ancestries to get mad about, dwarves? Really? Like, they get along decently well with just about anyone. I mean, except for elves. Just watch Pointy Hat's video about dwarves. They're usually the ones to hold a grudge, and it would be on a personal level, not a racial one. If your name ends up in a book of grudges, it's because you pissed them off, and they're never going to let you forget that. The moment where I genuinely got upset with him was on a mission we were given by a mysterious organization that we wanted to join. The goal was to destroy a temple with a magic ice bomb. The reason why is because the gods that were being worshipped there were actually being puppeted by the god of undeath, thus giving him more worshippers and more power over the world. Me, warlock, cleric, and fighter came up with the idea that we should go in at night to have as little casualties as possible. Bloodhunter then gets up, takes the ice bomb, and starts walking into the temple in broad daylight. I stop him and say, wait, what are you doing? We agreed to go in at night, remember? Bloodhunter.
Oh yeah. I'm just going in to ask some questions about my past.
Me, okay, I guess. Bloodhunter then goes in and detonates the bomb, killing hundreds of people who were in this temple complex. His excuse for doing this was that he was
just saving time.
I was getting angry at this point, because every time we try and do something or get something planned out, he just goes, f it, and just does his own thing. He also did things out of game constantly that really made me mad. Every time I came up with a plan for us to follow in order to accomplish one of our goals, he would always say something like,
"Nah, that won't work."
Or,
"I don't think that's a very good plan."
or,
"What about X or Y?"
And then never gave any solution to the problem that he points out. Ah yes, the classic, I want to railroad the party into doing anything that I want. Okay then, what do you want to do? Aw gee, I don't know. How about we cleanse the skin of every NPC we ever met and
steal off their treasures, hoarding them into a dungeon where we keep the severed heads of everyone who's ever looked at me funny.
No? Okay, just throwing ideas around. Jumping forward to about the midpoint of the game, we are in the middle of a fight with a wizard after we tried to steal 2 sentient magic rings from him. During the fight, me, cleric, and fighter all go down, with Warlock in the back line firing Eldritch Blasts, and Bloodhunter using wings from a homebrew ability that him and the DM discussed about beforehand. He then decides to fly away from the fight instead of helping us out. He is a melee-focused class, and me and cleric were mostly squishy casters. He could have helped us out, but he doesn't. I get frustrated and say, "Of course you would," and he responds with,
"Well, I don't want to get involved in a useless fight."
After this, I started to have a genuine animosity towards both him and his character, and I didn't trust him or his judgment because of his selfish, self-motivated behavior. My intuition was correct, however, because when we were in a flooded section of the Underdark to try and cure one of our party members of a disease that accelerates when magic is used, Bloodhunter decides to betray the party while we were in mid-conversation with a group of Triton elders who were related to Cleric's backstory. While we were talking, Bloodhunter takes out his greatsword and swings for Fighter's head. At this point, my Artificer character had died, and I was now playing a Dragonborn Path of the Beast barbarian. I asked the DM if I could use my tail reaction on someone else to give them an AC bonus. The DM says yes, so I swing my tail out and protect Fighter from the worst of the attack. After this happened, it was revealed that the reason Bloodhunter was going against my plans was not because they were bad plans, but because they directly went against his secret motivation to betray the party and help the BBG, which was a goddess of ice and destruction. Why would he want to do this? Absolutely no clue. After this happened and Bloodhunter made a new character, it's just the same character again, but with different hair color and class, the Dungeon Master had a convo with Bloodhunter, saying that if he went against what the party wanted again, he would be removed from the game, and Bloodhunter agreed. The final nail in the coffin happened fairly recently. As the party was traveling, we got word that the goddess of ice and destruction was going to attempt to fire a massive magic beam at the location of a very important NPC we needed. So we did everything we could to deflect the magic blast, and succeeded, and the DM gave Bloodhunter the ability to choose where it goes. Bloodhunter then chooses for it to hit where the important NPC is. The DM starts to describe what happens, and I speak up. Me. Wait, what? We went through all of that, and you're just going to blow him up anyway? That's bullshit. Bloodhunter.
Well, I rolled a D2, and this is what it landed on.
DM. No. Don't blame the dice. You made this decision. Either make a new one, or I'm letting someone else decide where it goes. Bloodhunter.
Okay, fine. Let someone else do it then.
Me and Fighter decide to send the blast to a far-off corner of the map that we thought had no people in it. I did not roleplay my anger with Bloodhunter, because in character, we would have no idea he attempted to do this. This was the last straw when it came to me, the DM, and the rest of the players. The DM removed him from the game, and he was replaced later on by a new player. According to the other players who have played with him before, he acted like this in every single game. Same character, same selfish attitude, same issues in every campaign he plays in. I'm cool with the idea of an abrasive character. I play flocked up little dudes all the time that are grouchy, mean, or just have negative social skills. Basically, they're just like me for real. But if your character's goals are completely antithetical to the goals of the party, like, why would they, even in a roleplay sense, want to keep you around? If you just drag them down, both in and out of game, why are you even here? It just doesn't make sense to me, and I don't see how any of that leads to a fun experience, even for this problem player who's causing it all. And so, by the decree of the Corvid Court, I hereby sentence this player to play a bard that has permanent disadvantage on all attack rolls, and instantly gets teleported inside of a volcano if he ever casts a spell that deals damage. But that's going to be the end for today's stories. And if you enjoyed today's stories and would like to see more of them, then please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And once again, a special thank you to my patrons, with whose support I can keep the lights on whenever I decide not to upload for a while. You guys are truly the best, and I don't deserve you. And with all of that out of the way, I will see you next time as the crow flies.